Welcome to But Frankly Pierce News. I'm Arthur Fairview. President Joe Biden signed legislation establishing a new federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery, saying he believes it will go down as one of the greatest honors he has as president. Biden signed into law a bill to make Juneteenth, or June 19th, the 12th federal holiday. The House voted 415 to 14 to send the bill to Biden, while the Senate passed the bill unanimously the day before. The gravity of the moment was not lost on our president.
This is a day of profound, in my view, profound weight and profound power. A day in which we remember the moral stain, the terrible toll that slavery took on the country and continues to take.
Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865, when Union soldiers brought the news of freedom to enslaved Black people in Galveston, Texas. 2 months after the Confederacy had surrendered and over 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Biden noted the overwhelming support for the bill from lawmakers in both parties.
I'm especially pleased that we showed the nation that we can come together as Democrats and Republicans to commemorate this day with an overwhelming bipartisan support of the Congress. I hope this is the beginning of a change in the way we deal with one another.
Representative Carolyn Maloney of New York made a powerful statement on the floor of the House prior to the vote on the House bill to make Juneteenth a federal holiday.
Our federal holidays are purposefully few in number and recognize the most important milestones in our country's history. I cannot think of a more important milestone to commemorate than the end of slavery in the United States.
There were, however, some lawmakers who opposed the bill. 14 Republican lawmakers. 14 white, male, Republican lawmakers. Republican Representative Matt Rosendale from Montana, for instance, issued a statement against the federal holiday, saying creating the federal holiday was an effort to celebrate identity politics. In a press release, he stated, "Since I believe in treating everyone equally, regardless of race, and that we should be focused on what unites us rather than our differences, I will vote no." After issuing the statement, he was immediately under fire from fellow lawmakers and senators, calling the statement racist, in part because he used a variation of the expression to call a spade, a centuries-old euphemism for speaking frankly that has more recently been construed as racist. Texas Senator John Cornyn of Texas retweeted Rosendale's statement with a one-word assessment: kooky. Rosendale, in the words of the Billings Gazette, has carved out a niche as Montana's clickbait congressman, the member of the delegation most likely to riff on whatever has far-right cable news buzzing. But in the end, this was truly a bipartisan effort.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Democrats and Republicans working together?
Wait for it.
With this official and overdue commemoration of freedom comes the inevitable fake outrage from the extreme right. The target? Critical race theory, a scholarly framework that seeks to understand the role race and racism have played in all aspects of society. After a year of demonstrations and devastating pandemic that still continues to disproportionately kill people of color, there's no small irony in the fact that in Texas this week, the state where the holiday originated, Republican Governor Greg Abbott signed a law limiting how educators can talk about current events and America's history of racism. In essence, the law seeks to ban critical race theory. Texas is not alone in its attempts to censor educators who attempt to teach the theory. Similar laws have gone into effect in several states. Some parents naturally have joined in the hysteria. Several outlets have reported that parents are calling their children's schools concerned that their kids are being taught that white people are intrinsically evil.
What's next? Book burning?
Don't give them any ideas.
Conservative members of Congress can't resist taking the absurdity to new levels. The same Senate that unanimously approved a measure to make Juneteenth a federal holiday has its Republican members pushing the national panic button and alerting their constituents about policies that would almost certainly prevent students from learning what the holiday is really about.
One step forward
and 2 steps back.
Take a step forward. Now take a step back. 1 step forward. And then sit back. And then we're cha-chaing.
Will you stop it?
In other news, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled to confirm the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act by a 7-2 margin, with 4 conservative justices joining the court's 3 liberals to protect the landmark achievement of former President Barack Obama's 2 terms.
Bravo.
Well played.
The decision will be a boon for President Joe Biden, who campaigned on expanding the program to provide higher subsidies for those who purchase insurance on the Affordable Care Act and to increase the standards of insurance plans to be subsidized.
He's on a roll.
Arthur?
No, Biden.
Members of the Ohio House on Wednesday expelled Representative Larry Householder, the federally indicted Republican ex-speaker, in a bipartisan vote that for the first time in 150 years invoked their powers to remove a member. The GOP-controlled House voted 75-21 to remove Householder of Perry County, approving a resolution that stated he was not suited for office because of the indictment. This follows the expulsion of a Republican member in the Oregon House of Representatives who let violent far-right protesters into the state capitol on December 21st.
The Republicans ousted one of their own? Again?
I know, right?
Householder reiterated his innocence in a House floor speech before the vote and predicted again that he would be acquitted of the accusations that he orchestrated a $60 million bribery scheme to approve legislation to prop up 2 nuclear power plants and then kill a ballot issue trying to overturn the law.
I have not, nor have I ever, took a bribe or provided a bribe. I have not, nor have I ever solicited a bribe. And I have not, nor have I ever sold legislation.
The full House, no. The full Ohio House of Representatives took a vote after Republican lawmakers forced the measure to the floor instead of waiting for the expulsion resolution to work through the committee process. Householder and 4 associates were arrested in July in an investigation connected to legislation containing a ratepayer-funded bailout of 2 Ohio nuclear power plants. Federal prosecutors allege that Householder and his allies took money in exchange for orchestrating a scheme to elect Householder Speaker, put his allies into House seats, then pass the bailout bill and thwart a subsequent ballot effort to repeal it. Householder faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted.
Hey, are we seeing the start of a trend towards justice?
Shh, not so loud. They'll hear you.
And finally, on Tuesday, the Senate took up a vote on whether to begin debate on S1, the For the People Act, the bill that would protect voting rights, end partisan gerrymandering, establish new ethics rules for federal officials, and curb big money in politics. The vote was split at 50-50, with all 50 Republican senators voting against debate.
In all my years, I never seen, heard, nor smelled an issue that was so dangerous it couldn't be talked about.
It would seem that some people feel this argument is too dangerous, and not a single Republican was willing to offer
Even so much as the courtesy of open debate.
So what does the future hold? In an attempt to mobilize the people who in polling support the For the People Act and the John Lewis voting rights bills by at least 70%, grassroots organizers have created clever ways to get the message out. Here's an interesting way of conveying the seriousness of the issue.
Let's hope this works.
We've got to tell him.
Fundamental purpose of our democracy is the freedom of our life.
Your parents and also.
You are our only hope. The America you know doesn't exist in our future. Democracy is dead. We have no voice. The regime watches our every move.
It started when voter suppression ran wild all over America. The voting rights bills died in the Senate. Polling places closed. We lost our right to vote.
This future doesn't have to be. You have the power to change it. Save democracy while you can.
Call your senator now.
Tell Daisy we love her.
That is well done.
I like messages from the future.
So what happens next? Only time will tell. We will continue to provide updates as this story evolves. This has been Bud Frankly Pierce News. Thanks for watching. I'm Arthur Fairview. There are changes lying ahead in every road, and there are new thoughts ready and waiting to explode. When tomorrow is today, the bells may toll for some, but nothing can change the shape of things to come.